heard. If you're in here, voice chat text is the place we will be following along. Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Let's talk about... Okay, I'll ask you guys. I'm not going to lead this right at the beginning. Do you want to talk about what's happening right now, or do you want to talk about rebalancing portfolios? Not totally unrelated, but if you guys have a preference. Otherwise, I will just start with portfolios, and then we can dovetail into what is happening right now. Although, I will say, there's a lot going on right now. I was just, if you guys want to know what I was doing right before, at least related to the market, I was looking at the daily, the one-day chart on Binance for Venn, trying to figure out and pinpoint exactly when I started to accumulate and why I am just not upset right now. And a lot of people seem to be either about to be upset or already upset with what's happened this past week. If you go to December 1st, you'll see when I started to accumulate. If you're on the daily on Binance, then you will see that it's not so bad. Okay, so also I'm going to mute everyone in here manually. Don't take it personally if I do that. I wonder, I also have to turn off when people exit or leave. All right, so let's start with rebalancing portfolios. This is something that, especially over the past 3 weeks, I don't even know. I know it's made me a significant amount of money relative to being overextended in my mind in a lot of different coins. But the benefit, I really got to say overall, in terms of doing this, is the mental clarity and sanity that you are bringing into your life rather than having to potentially worry about 10, 15 coins. That really becomes a struggle, because if you remember yesterday's call, or was it last night? I don't remember when it was. Last night, I was talking about that it's really important just to know why you're getting into these coins. That really makes it a lot easier to hold and or sell, and just make yourself a good Kenny Rogers, know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away, when to run. Those are really important. I've been thinking about that song because this is a stupid Kenny Rogers song and everyone knows it, but it also is very good advice. You do have to know when to do those things. And if you actually know what your hand is, especially relative to what other people's are, that's going to be a good thing to do. So how do we know what cards to kick out and to bring in new ones or consolidate into ones we like? That's the question. So this is going to be perhaps the biggest tip I will give out in this particular call. It's a personal preference that I use. I believe it has given me a significant edge over the market. And we talked about yesterday only using Satoshis to trade with, or ether value, just something that's not dollars, because that's going to fuck your head up. This dovetails into what I'm about to say. So you may have noticed the bot in the Disco server. We're going to say this is Disco server now. In the Discord server, you may have noticed the Alt Pocket bot. Alt Pocket is a tool that I use to keep track of my portfolio. I am zealot-like in terms of keeping on top of it and making sure that it is accurately reflecting all of my real holdings. If I'm day trading or swing trading and I'm only holding something for like a few seconds or a minute or maybe an hour or two, I don't necessarily put it in here. But otherwise, if I have balances or things that I'm going to be using or consolidating with, I log every single thing in here. And then I think a lot of people don't do this, and this is why they get freaked out. Is I change it immediately over to Bitcoin value. I don't want to know how much dollars I'm making or losing unless I plan on cashing out or there's some reason for me to know. So my holdings right now, just so you guys understand, we're talking about rebalancing portfolios. I'm excluding Bitcoin, which I have Bitcoin. I'm excluding that. I'm excluding Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Diamond, the forks. I haven't forked those off. They basically don't count. If I exclude those three in my portfolio right now, I have 3 things. This is down from, I think a month ago, I might have had up to 20 coins. And like I said, market dynamics aside, with the market going, kablooey the past couple of days, this has made me significantly more money than when I was, overextended. Now, what I will say is there is when months like December happen, where everything is just going up and you can catch pretty much any single possible, like I caught XRB, Ray blocks last in December. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry could have caught Ray blocks if it was last month. That was happening pretty much with everything, and not to that extent, but you can do that. That's maybe a good time when we're talking about rebalancing your portfolio. It doesn't mean consolidating only into smaller holdings. It may mean maybe taking some of those profits from those holdings and putting them in more speculative, low cap or big time potential coins that, low supply, the GBTs of the world that are pretty good bets to go up significantly from where they are, but, don't have the volume yet to justify, going all in and just waiting for that to happen. So those are all things that you want to consider when you're looking to rebalance your portfolio. Now, the thing I will point out right now about Alt Pocket is, and why this is I really do consider a secret weapon, and no, there's not an iOS or Android version of it yet. Yes, they are working on that. So you're going to have to use the web version, but it's fine. Put a link on your phone. It's no big deal. And like I said, switch it over to Bitcoins. You're going to save yourself a lot of hassle. You can also track in Ether values. It's not that hard. You can enter what you're buying in pretty easily. So what you're going to do and use this for is, like, for instance, like when someone's like, hey, what are you holding? I could say, oh, well, Salt, ICX, and Ven. Well, you don't know how much I'm holding of any of those, right? A few days ago, I was holding also GVT, Cash. What else did I have? I don't know, a lot of shit. I've pretty much gone down from a lot to a little, but you don't know how much of anything I have. So I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you how I can do this really quickly. 72% of my portfolio is in Ven. 17% of my portfolio is in Bitcoin. 7% of my portfolio is in Salt. 3% of my portfolio is in ICX. So I can tell you that because on my dashboard in Alt Pocket, it shows me exactly how much I have of everything. It also shows me my portfolio change for the last 24 hours. And in case you guys think that Ven is completely invulnerable and it's just up, up, up and away, I'm down 18.76% in the last 24 hours. Ven is certainly taking a hit with the market and Bitcoin going below 10,000 and staying there. That's, of course, I don't want to give the impression here that I'm like literally caking up, but what I am doing, and the reason I'm laughing and having a good time when this is going on and a lot of people are panicking, is because when Ven drops down to like 37,000 Satoshis, when it's chilling here under $4, if I went and bought Bitcoin right now and kicked it in, it's super cheap and it's still being manipulated. Just in case there were any doubts, let's go look at the sell walls. Where are they at today? Ooh, they pulled them for a second. You're not going to see any real sell resistance until about 43,000. But I think if you pay attention for, 20 minutes or so, you may see some green candles soon, gobbling it back up, and you may see those sell walls appear again. So just pay attention to all of these things. You're wanting to understand that if there's something you've identified, in this case, I'm talking about VE chain, that you think has nothing, you have a good sense that it's going to go up because of marketplace dynamics, fundamentals. When stuff like this is happening, if you have had the foresight to reserve or even comfortable taking losses, you can, get back in at good prices. And then when everything goes up again, hopefully you haven't lost that much in actual Bitcoin or Satoshi value, and your dollar should go up with your Bitcoin. That is pretty much what I expect to happen this time. I don't want to go right into market dynamics right away. Let's get back to rebalancing portfolios. Essentially, the point of rebalancing a portfolio is let's say you found something that you think is really good. And also, I will point this out right now, and this is going to change. I'm going to change probably within the next couple of months. I'm going to have a part of my portfolio dedicated to ICOs. And we're going to talk about ICOs, initial coin offerings, in a later call, probably next week. But that is going to be a percentage of my portfolio dedicated to that. And that obviously is a little bit different. It's not, you can't, once you get into an ICO, you can't actively trade that money. But I think that aspect of if you've identified a good ICO, a good project, and have the patience, which is like a superpower in this market. It's like, you don't even have to have a lot of it. Just like a little bit of patience, you can really do well. So ICOs, especially quality ones or ones that you believe really have a chance, are not a bad part of your portfolio if that's what you want to do. Right now, it's easy to say that holding through this, especially if you come out on top, is the right approach, but that shouldn't necessarily dissuade you from actively trading in times like this too. Now, if you're wondering I keep trying to get it I'm getting sidetracked because my mind right now, just so you guys understand, is basically like when, if I'm going to buy Bitcoin today or Ether, or when I'm going to buy it, is there a certain price? I think if I see it touch 8,000, I may be entering the Bitcoin party. It could go down to 5,600. I'm seeing technical analysis that say that's, the real last level of support that they see it actually breaking through would just be the bastion where it stops would be 5,600, which would be amazing. I don't think Bitcoin is dead, just to be clear. I don't think we're done. But back to rebalancing your portfolio. The first thing you should do, like I said, if you're looking for a checklist, get Alt Pocket, sign up for that, enter your portfolio. If you're worried about privacy, you can make it private so only you track it. Put all in your holdings. Try to remember the prices. At this point, it's important to know where you put the date or your prices may be off. Now, this brings up a question with Alt Pocket. Sometimes their API is just broken and you'll put in something and all of a sudden it'll say that you lose like 25 Bitcoin. You're like, what the fuck is going on? This happens sometimes when I put in Ether values. If that happens and it's fucking with your head because you're seeing a red number in the top right and there shouldn't be a red number, just add it as a balance and make a note mentally or otherwise where you bought it, and then you should be good to go. And then you just have a balance. That's what I do with Venn. So if you went and looked at my Alt Pocket profile, it actually says I'm down 0.06 Bitcoin in active profit. I've come to the point where I actually don't let that bother me because I'm just adding to my balance. There was a point where Venn was rebranding to Vet. So in the API of Alt Pocket, it had it stuck at like 13,000 Satoshis. And at that point, it was like 30 or something. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to need to see this reflected in how much it actually is. So I had to re-put everything in the new thing they had switched back from. Long story short, I just ended up adding it as a balance. So I have a huge balance there rather than having an active profit and seeing how well I've done on those trades. The other point with adding balances rather than investments is if this is really a long hold for you, don't add it as an active investment. You're not going to sell that shit. Don't even put it in a category or next to stuff that you're planning on selling. Add it as a balance. That's what I do for mine. It's how I added my Bitcoin before I started doing this. Hope you're recording some more of your soothing music on this one to commenters. Yeah, I have music. Don't worry. There's one thing people who have listened to the podcast know about. I have thousands of clips of music that I have no shortage of. Anyway, balancing portfolios. My point is take a stock of what you have. Take a clear look at why you have those things. When you see it written down, it's like keeping a journal. It's not something I actively do, but you'll find a lot of successful people, a lot of people, who are good at getting, manifesting things, not in some magical sense, but writing down something like a goal, even a magical sigil, whatever it is, does seem to have an impact, maybe in a psyche, intertwining with matter way, but maybe in just solidifying it in our minds. So when you have something you can reference and bounce back from, I think a lot, and you may be asking, like I use Delta or I use Blockfolio. I haven't used Delta, but I think if I'm not mistaken, it mainly tracks it in dollars. I could be wrong. But I know Blockfolio was just not to my liking. It didn't do what I needed to do when I needed to do it. So I am aware that there are other tools to track your portfolio. The reason I go with Alt Pocket is because of the features I mentioned. You can see your percentage holdings very quickly. You can input and view in Bitcoins and in other denominations very easily. And it's just fucking easy and useful. And the community is pretty good. They're trying to build a social layer to it as well, which is interesting. As I'm sure you could imagine, dependent. It's kind of a big wide net they're trying to cast right now. Anyway, if you do Alt Pocket, then you will be able to see your portfolios, and then it's time to do your fundamental research and then your technical analysis for entry and or selling if they're more speculative or trading positions. I think if you do those two things, I don't think this, I know this, if you do those two things, you will be in much better shape than if you aren't doing those two things. Because otherwise, it's just like, how do you know what is right? Especially, let's say you're looking at this in dollars. I mean, I don't even know. I know it's got to be a lot. Let's look. I can just tell you based on Ben. In dollars, probably, damn near $25,000 the past 24 to 48 hours. But, you don't hear me freaking out because I wasn't planning on selling that anyway. Who gives a shit? Is this the end? Is this the end of the ride? Am I freaking out? All right, we'll dovetail now. I hope you get are there any questions about balancing portfolio? Put them in the voice chat text now. Otherwise, I'm going to move into the general market dynamics and what's going on because that's obviously what's on my mind. How can it not be? right? If you got into this and this is happening right now, it's kind of crazy. But if you do have a specific question related to rebalancing your portfolios, let me know and I will answer it. I see you typing, Drin. My podcast is syncpodcast.com. It's called Synchronicity. Noah Lampert. That's me. That's my name. Yeah. P. Noah Lampert. No B. Lambert. We have an ancient war with the Lamberts. We don't talk about it, but we put the little line below the circle. So yeah, it's a thing. But that's yeah. So the podcast. Let's move on to general market dynamics, though. Very important to know what's going on right now, and let's put the caveat to knowing what's going on right now. No one really knows what the fuck is going on right now. I think we're getting a little more clarity. I continue to believe speculation alert. I'll put a little in post-production, put a little alarm there. Speculation alert. I think we're seeing a confluence of regular, predictable events. Nary the thought in crypto that there could be some type of pattern we could accurately surmise. If you go back and look at January, so I'm not saying this is the reason it's happening, but if you look at January, something tends to happen with Bitcoin, which is we start to see a big old dumparoo. Why is that happening? Well, there's a lot of potential reasons. Let's call it intuition. I have no idea really. But if you think about what happened in December, at the end of December, what started happening? We were about to cross 20,000 and stay there. And then it started going down, right? And then we started seeing all the memes of Bitcoin's dead and this is the end of it. Oh, just you wait. And those people, if you want to believe them, this is the end of the ride and we're just in the middle of it right now. Totally. But it started going down. Why did it start going down? Well, let me tell you what I did at the end of December. That's the end of the tax year for United States citizens and a lot of other places. I cashed out. You know why I cashed out? Didn't make a lot of money last year. So if I cash out last year, it doesn't go against my taxes. I also, if you listened before, have a plan with salt arbitrage to get loans deposited, which mitigates taxes in a lot of ways. You still pay taxes. Don't worry. You're not cheating. The IRS isn't going to come for you. But anyway, there's a plan there. So I cashed out. What do a lot of other people do at the end of the year before the holidays? They cash out. Why do they cash out? Because most people still can't buy presents for their kids and their wives and their husbands and their loved ones in Bitcoin yet. I wish we could. There's some stuff you can get, but it's not easy. We're not there. Let's not pretend like we're living in, Blade Runner times yet where this is going on. Not happening. So you cash out into your fiat currency and you get it. So this is December. So we're starting to see a little dipsy-do there. Well, not everyone's New Year is the exact same time. You may have heard of this thing called Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. We're starting to dovetail into more of my podcast stuff. But Lunar New Year is something that also takes place, and it's not a dissimilar position to be in, and not maybe with the taxes, but in terms of wanting to take some profits. Just like you really want to, this is not a unusual psychological thing to do. On top of that, we do have these futures plays going on that are certainly affecting it. Wall Street is a big monster and they want to take your money. That's a fact. All right. And they know they can take your money. All they have to do is push you down in the playground, kick some dirt in your face and say, give me that. And most people are going to be like, all right, whatever. I'm just going to go somewhere else now. And that's cool. But yeah, I'm just reminded of a book. Just when I'm saying this, go read Demian by Herman Hesse. I'm going to say it the Dingusy way. It's a great book. Go read that. It's a very good one. But anyway, this is essentially what Wall Street is trying to do. They're going to do it. Doesn't mean they're going to take advantage of you. What I love about blockchain technology, what I love about Bitcoin and a lot of these other things we're potentially investing in, is they are decentralized for the most part, which gives us a real fair fighting chance to actually succeed in a realm where, like stocks, my only experience with stocks is I bought Twitter stock. I bought like 10 of them when it was $15. They went up to $17 and I sold them. So that was my biggest stock win. I'm great if you're Warren Buffett. I'm totally glad if you have the capital to, take your 10 to 20% gains and understand that, these people are shorting you and there's derivatives and algorithms that are designed to fuck you over. Listen, here's what I'll give you a more accurate comparison, what I think is going on. this is blockchain is somewhat immune from this, and there are totally traps everywhere. But fantasy football, the daily fantasy leagues, I'm good at fantasy football. I win at least one of my leagues every year, and I'm in really competitive leagues because I fucking been paying attention to football my entire life. And what the fuck is going on, man? All right, so I win every year. So I started doing the dailies right when they came out, FanDuel, DraftKings. I was doing amazing. I remember the first season of the game, I made like $1,500 off like $10. I was like, this is incredible. That whole year was raking it up. Then all the Wall Street people started getting in with their monitors, their algorithms, their capital, and it started to suck. I would have really good lineups, and I'd barely be scraping by. And it was no more fun because little ding-dongs with their computers can go and make money, and fuck that. It's bullshit. I don't like it. It's a rigged game. I don't want to play it. So I stopped playing it. They had the intermediate leagues where you can do. I still do those because you can make money because you're smart or you know what's going on. And that's cool to me. So what I'm trying to get across is Wall Street is going to try to do the same thing with this. And that's why we see these dumps and these pumps and these things. And that's going to shake all the people who have lost money, who are down, who thinks that this is a pyramid scheme, it's a scam, and it certainly looks like one if you bought in, and Wall Street is doing this to you now, and Asia is keeping the prices down, and Korea can't buy in fully for a day or two. Yeah, it looks really bad, but if you're investing things like VE Chain, are you worried about this? Bitcoin collapses. Ethereum collapses. Neo collapses. Cardano happens and then collapses. IOTA happens and collapses. What happens? Well, if VE Chain's mainnet is launched and major corporations are plugged into it, you ain't got nothing to worry about. So basically, that's why fundamentals still matter, because there's a way to be immune from total fucking chaos. And more than immune, just letting you know, I got buy orders set. I sold all my GVT by Genesis Vision. And I love Genesis Vision. I really love it. I bought that shit at $30+. Sold it at like $15 to get more Vent. I have buy orders set in at prices where I hope it hits. Love it. So there's a way to actually do well when this is going on. So that's what I think is going on with the market. There's algorithmic trading. Yeah. You're mentioning this trend. Yeah, totally. This shit, there's bots, there are whales, there's all this shit. Doesn't mean you can't do it too. And I will let you know the second, and I do think it'll happen, just to be clear. This isn't a free ride. This isn't us having a democratic, fair chance at this forever. But what I do think is going to happen, and how this does different from what's going on before, is there's going to be enough of us in where before all of the institution, before this shit hits $1 trillion market cap, we're going to be in line ahead of these people. And that's going to push us up too. And if we're in things where they're proof of access and proof of stakes and we can generate passive income, we're good. And if we band together, we actually begin to, we talk about this all the time. Well, if the 99% rose up against the 1%, they would win. Well, it's really hard to do when you don't have any resources or organization or money. But the 99%, the 30%, the 40% of people who are in before, if we start banding together, something changes. So yeah, regulation is going to come at some point. But I do think it's kind of like marijuana. There are a lot of people who do not want marijuana to be legal in this country, period. But you know who really wants marijuana to be legal in this country? Besides me? Colorado. States where they're fucking raking in billions of dollars, improving their schools, improving their roads, improving people's lives. Those people are like, nah, you're not taking this shit away from us. So I hate to tell the people who doubt this, they're not taking it away from us in the way that you may imagine. Listen, net neutrality is a horrible thing that the government is basically paving the way for terrible conglomerates and ISPs to basically dictate what the hell is going to go on. And they're not going to do it right away. They're not morons. They're not going to say the next day, boom, bam, 1984, you guys are out. Big Brother's there. You can only do what we say. But they will do it slowly. They will do it systematically. And then by the time it happens, you'll be like, shit, damn, I have to pay more to get to this. I'm blacklisted from this. Why? What the fuck? But just know there will probably be a blockchain tech or quantum computing, something that'll mitigate that too. This isn't a game of good versus evil. It's just being aware of the dynamics and what's going on. Got a little off track there. But basically all I'm saying is don't freak out if you're holding stuff right now. I said it yesterday, last night, I'll say it again. If your alts are bleeding real bad, if your Bitcoin has dropped real bad, like not the dollar value, but the Satoshis, how many you have, just be like, why? Why did this happen? What did my end that this happened to? And if you're like sitting in something nice, some Ven, some ICX. Let's see. I think is Neblio. Yeah, it's still bucking the trend. There's the good ones are starting to come back a little bit. There's plenty of ways. And if you're looking for a full list of coins that are still my projections, don't worry. The market took a huge old duty. If you go to the Signals channel, Doctor Who 13 Signals channel, and look at the very top, you will see, and look, I dumped the number one. So I'm going to put a note there. Number one GBT, I actually fucking love it, but I dumped that shit and I got Ven. So I will update that and say, I dumped this. I still love GBT. If you're the type of investor who really just wants to buy something now and not have to worry about it for like 3 to 6 months, and you want it to go up like, I guess today, 3 to 5 times, like, pretty, like, I'm not as confident as VE Chain, but like very confident. That's a great place to invest now. But I think most of you who are listening to this or participating live or probably want to be a little bit more active. But look at CAP right there. Great. Still holding up during all of this. They're partnering with NVIDIA. Just there's so much good stuff that you can still get. But right now, I'm just buying Ven. So I'm buying till it's like $10+. I won't be as gung-ho, and I probably will be because there'll be some other crazy shit they're coming out with. So I think that is it. Did you lose my signal? Am I still in here? No. Could you tell me this in voice chat text? Will you tell me if you could hear me during that entire time? Because if you could and it didn't drop out, that means that I can move between servers without it going down. So that's good. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap it up there. Relatively short. Do we have any questions from anyone before I go? I'll give it another 5 minutes. If not, I'll wrap it up here. Great. It worked well. Good to know. Any questions, general, specific? This is your chance. And a reminder, I charge money, hard-earned Bitcoin and Ether to do this. So this would be your chance to ask unless you want to pay me some other time. I see people typing. It's a good deal. These prices, much like Bitcoin now, will seem ridiculous later on. Like, damn, I could have got it for that. Okay. Drin, make it worth the question. And I'm going to open up in the next one, just so people know you'll be able to participate verbally and vocally. I just have to figure out the best way to do that. No questions. Worked well. Great. Okay, we're done. Thank you guys for participating. This one is recording, so I'll get this out hopefully today. And if you're listening and you missed it, this is on the Cryptosync Discord server, which is free for up until February 1st, 2018. After that, it is going to cost, what did I say, 0.333 Bitcoin annually and 0.0333 Bitcoin monthly to just get in here, guys. Feel me? Like, you gotta be well worth it for all the people coming in. Let's not make them feel bad. I'm gonna probably have to give them some extra privileges though, but we'll see. Probably not. You guys are cool. That's it. We'll be hanging around. I am gonna go do something else for like 2 minutes and be right back here. All right. Bye-bye.